Hey everybody, Michael here, and today I want to talk about some alternative options to using remote LUA loader. Now, most of you already know by this point that in order to run the remote LUA loader, you will need one of these games in this list right here. Now, if you don't have one of the physical games, you can obviously download the demos, but these do have a hard requirement, and that is that it does require the very latest firmware to download from the PlayStation Network. Now, just the other day, I released my jailbreak advice for every PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 firmware. And what you will find is that if you go over to the PlayStation 4 section here, that anything above 11.02 and up is going to require some sort of LUA disk in order to run the jailbreak. Now, obviously, with these later firmwares like 12.50 and 12.52, it is extremely limited in what you can do, but at least you can jailbreak from 12.00 to 12.02. But again, you will need one of those expensive disks to do so. And if we just switch over here to the PlayStation 5 section, you will see that pretty much anything above 7.61 is also going to require one of those LUA disks. Now, the biggest problem is that these game discs now are extremely expensive. So the one that I bought was a Kage 2, and this one now is running about $150, at least on eBay. Now there are sites like Play Asia that you can visit and maybe get some of these a little bit cheaper, but the games for the most part are all really expensive. Now, there is another method that really hasn't been talked about that often, and mainly because that is requiring you to revert a console. So, over on X, I posted this tweet that said here was a short clip of basically reverting a 12.50 back to 12.02 to get the LUA demos. And basically, what this does is that there is currently a method that will allow you to revert back to the previously installed firmware on a PlayStation 4, but it does require some soldering skills as well as some technical know how. Now, I mentioned here that I'm guessing eBay mail in services are going to start very shortly, where if you do have a PlayStation and maybe you haven't acquired a disc, you could potentially send in your PlayStation. They could get the demo for you and then revert back and then send you your PlayStation. Now, I've seen tons of information coming from this person right here. And since I posted this tweet, they went and started deleting absolutely everything. But as we all know, this is the internet, and well, things are typically captured. So, what they wrote in this tweet here was no need to purchase $300 software to do it. All you need is the Syscon flasher and the Wii tools. And thank you, people, for making these great tools. Now, if you're wondering why it has all been removed, I think it is because a number of folks are getting ready to start offering this as a service. Now, I have another trusted source that I talked to about this, and as you can see from this short message thread right here, they did get this working, and this is one of my very trusted sources. So it does make a lot of sense to go ahead and start covering up any of the methods that people are using to get these demos on an older system. Now, the video here is just about 20 seconds, so let's just go ahead and watch this all the way out. So here they went ahead and they logged into their system, and they're going to scroll down here and go to system and then system information, and it was on 12.02. And right there is the Hamadashi Creative demo, and it is working just fine. Now, there is another video that shows quite a bit that is actually already on YouTube right now. And again, I cannot read the language here, but one of the things that I do know after watching it is that basically they take a 9.00, they update it to the latest, and they show quite a bit of the process, and then they just revert back to 9.00, and eventually they will play the game. Now, here it starts out with it being at 9.00, and they are getting their PlayStation 4 ready to be reverted. So, again, there is soldering and other things of that nature required in order to do that. And then a little bit into the video here, you will see they went ahead and updated to 12.52. And then from here, they're just going ahead and connecting to the PlayStation Network, where they can go in and download the demo. So we'll fast forward a little bit, and there we go. We have a 12.50 that is running PS4 Auto Lua Labs. Now, at this point, they need to go back to the previous version that they were on. And there is some details in here, again, of using those PS4 Syscon tools that I shared just a moment ago in the tweet. And then finally here, what you will see is that they have now reverted back to 9.00, and they're going to go ahead and run the game now. And here it goes. And you will see that they will be successfully jailbroken now on a 9.00. And of course, they are loading gold in here. I will put a link in the description to everything discussed where you can go and read the sources for yourself. Now, there is another method that I also saw, and what this was for was those that have a 12.50 system. And so what this user did was they used a tool called HDD Raw Copy Tool, which I know I used this in the Xbox 360 days, to copy sector by sector PlayStation 4 hard disk drive and make a duplicate one-to-one copy of the original hard disk drive. This would only work with 12.50 systems, and unfortunately I don't have one at the moment to test this with, but you would also need to have the exact same size hard disk drive, because if you use a larger hard disk drive, after this is over with, then it automatically would only show the space that the original hard disk drive had. So after this person clones the hard disk drive, they go ahead and they boot up their PlayStation 4 here, and right there is the demo game, and so they are running it here, and what you will see is they are on 12.50, and the remote Lua loader is currently working. Now, they did share the link to the backup, which only contains a demo, in case you want to go ahead and give that a shot. Now, there's been a couple of questions here that I think I want to chime in on. And one of those was this question right here, which was, I'm thinking about updating my PS4, which is on 11.50, downloading the Lua demo, and doing a firmware rollback. What do you think about this? So in my opinion, for this question, I would say I think it's a bit of an overkill to do that method as of the moment. Now, if you already have some tools lying around your house and maybe you are a technical whiz and has some soldering skills, this would probably be a fun little weekend project. But for the vast majority of you, I absolutely just believe it is cheaper to get one of those Lua discs. That way you can put it inside your PlayStation 4 or your PlayStation 5. And really just thinking a bit more about the cost here is that if there was some sort of eBay mail-in service for this, more than likely it is going to cost at least $100. Now, if you do some digging, I think you would be able to find a Lua game disc for around that $100 to $150 price range. And so I can't really recommend this at this moment. But anyways, I just wanted to share some alternative methods out there as I know folks are struggling with this at the moment. Anyways, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Michael, out!